I am delighted to be here with you at the Global AMR R&D's Hub's annual meeting. I'm Sunita Narain, and I'm the Director General of the Center for Science and Environment. I am also a member of the GLG, the Global Leaders Group on AMR. And I think what you will be discussing over this in this workshop is so critical. We know today that AMR is a silent pandemic. We know today that we have a crisis on our hands as far as the growing resistance to medicines that we so critically need is there. But what we are now learning and we have to discuss and to come up with solutions is what I call the triple jeopardy. Let me explain this to you. And I know that you will be discussing this as well. Firstly, it is very clear, as we know the AMR question, we know the fact that we have that antibiotics are becoming, antimicrobials are becoming increasingly ineffective. But then we also have an additional crisis that we do not have a new generation of new and novel antibiotics which are going to be available. So not only is the conservation agenda, which is to conserve the existing antibiotics, at stake, but also the development agenda, which is to have new antibiotics available for us to use, is a question. And then third is the critical need for access to these medicines for all. So if you put these three together, there is a dire health emergency, perhaps more serious than anything that we have seen so far. We know about the Second World War, 1940s, and the mass production of penicillin. But today the big question is, what is happening to the new discoveries that we need in our world of novel classes of antimicrobials? We also know what WHO calls the priority pathogens. Most of these priority pathogens are gram-negative bacteria that have complex cell walls and cause most of the worst infections in the world, including pneumonia. We need new classes of antibiotics to address these priority pathogens, and we need to make them available, accessible to people across the world. The question really is, what is causing this crisis and what do we do? It's broadly called in our world the market failure. But it's not really about a market failure. It's more than that. It's a moral failure. Because the fact is, pharma companies are making huge profits. They're just not making profits from a class of medicine which, unlike medicines that are required for cancer or diabetes, are medicines which have two limitations. One, that they need to be sparingly used because they are medicines which, if resistance grows against them, they become ineffective, which means that we need to restrict use. That reduces profits. The second is we need access to those medicines to large numbers of people. Now, given that the pharma industry is obviously is showing reluctance in the investment that is needed, in spite of the fact there is huge research, innovative research happening in small laboratories, in universities, the scaling of this is not happening. Now, governments across the world are working to find solutions. They're working on a push. They're working on pull incentives. They're working on creating incentives so that industry will invest in these novel medicines and take them to scale. But I think there is much more that needs to be done. And that is what I hope we as a community can discuss further, because it is very clear that even if the market fails, we cannot allow this to happen, because we need public research is used for common good. And this is the challenge as we move forward. So the discussions you have are going to be critical, and I hope that we will find ways to take this forward. We must, we have to. Thank you very much.